We're live. All right. We are live.
Awesome.
David, Adam. Hey guys, so we're here to talk to you today about something that we created, something that Adam created because he's brilliant. But we used AI to create a lead magnet, and we're going to take you through the process of how we did that. But first, just to talk a little bit about why that came about. So my business is to help marketers be better and help brands be smarter. And a lot of what I do is rooted in understanding customer needs. So a customer journey map is a really important artifact for marketing. It's really important to understand the insights of the customer and what they're looking for. And then Adam came to me with an idea of building an app where we could use AI to sort of spit back information that people are looking for and create a more personalized experience. And then I said, well, that sounds fantastic. Let's do that. Let's do that. So we created the AI journey generator. And we wanted to talk to you today about how that was created, because we think that creating landing pages and lead magnets using AI creates a more personalized experience that will produce better results than typical lead magnets and listicles and downloads that people don't read. So that's was my interest in this project. Adam's interest in this project, which he'll take you through in a bit, was to begin building a business and begin building automations for people to help them grow their business. And this was a perfect automation, and someone like me who didn't have the ability to do it themselves. So Adam, introduce yourself and let's talk about what you created.
Yeah. What's going on, everyone? My name is Adam. I run an automation consulting business, and I build automations with no-code tools like Zapier, Make, and Airtable especially. And this idea came to me from a friend who was working at an agency, and he realized that, when the agency was helping brands create branding strategy guidelines, it would just be a long discovery process, and it could take weeks or months depending on the engagement. And so he found a way to use AI, and he shared it with me. And basically, how it works from a high level is that a brand can fill out a form and answer some basic questions about itself, like who their ideal customer is, where they're located, what do they sell, what price range do they sell their services or products in. And it sends that information off to a series of AI prompts, which are then used to generate outputs. And then with those outputs, you can format them into a nicely branded document. And what we did for David here is actually to create buyer's journeys. And so David works with tech companies, CMOs, to help create B2B buyer journeys. And so we turned this into a lead magnet for him, basically. And what he can do is he has embedded a form on his website where potential prospects can fill out their company name here, and then it takes them to this jot form and asks them basic questions. And at the end of it, it collects their email. And once the output is generated and put into a doc, it just emails the finished doc to them after it's finished. And the document is the template. This is what it looks like. And, it's some basic stuff. You can design this however you want. There's a bunch of different ways to make it look like your brand. But yeah, that's basically what we built.
Do you have one of the journeys that we could look at?
I have this one for Rocket Software.
Yeah, great.
Yeah. Do you want to go kind of, because isn't this one of your?
Yeah, absolutely. Can you zoom in on it a little bit?
Yeah.
Yeah. The point here is not that you guys read this, but this format will be a hero's journey format. So you'll be introduced to your buyer as a hero, and you'll understand their world, the world that they live in. And then there's usually some sort of inciting incident that makes them interested to become aware about your product. And then from there, they'll do some research, and eventually they'll need a guide. So after they become aware, they'll need a guide, and that guide is your brand. And your brand needs to behave in a certain way to help the buyer achieve their goals. So this journey is written in that format of a hero on a quest to gain knowledge and new abilities that are only available through your product. And the inputs to this are very, very simple. You just basically explain what the industry is, what the role is of the buyer in your industry, and the AI, for somehow, I don't know how. We've talked about this a little bit, and I think everybody's going to have their opinions. Somehow understands the context of what we're asking. And puts everything in this beautiful journey format. So it tells a story. It gives you content that you can use content suggestions you can use at each stage of the journey, and just a lot of useful information. It isn't yet perfect. And if you have deep knowledge of your buyers already, then something like this might not be useful. But if you're looking at how to understand a new market or a new type of buyer in depth in about 60 seconds, you're not going to find anything out there that will give you that except for this. So, and then the last thing I'll say is that the prompts are really rooted in, they're rooted in understanding the buyer's journey. They're rooted in category entry points, which are a kind of an advertising and marketing strategy. And they're rooted in jobs to be done. So when a buyer has to buy a piece of software, we call that jobs to be done. What are the jobs that need to be done in order to buy that software? I need to research it. I need to talk to people. I need to decide, that kind of thing. So it has all those elements in there to give you a really useful piece of information.
Yeah. And the personalized nature of this, I think, makes it just a much better type of lead magnet, because most lead magnets are, maybe a PDF or a document or something, or a video. And it's just a bunch of information which may or may not be actually useful to your ideal prospect. But if you can add elements of personalization with AI, if you combine your domain expertise with some AI stuff, you can get creative and personalize your lead magnets to your prospects. And so another example of how I'm going to be using this in the future is I build automations. And so my lead magnet is going to be people are going to fill out a form and tell me what software tools they use. And I'm going to send those tools off to AI. I have a GPT set up that is trained on Zapier and Make, and it'll spit out a bunch of different use cases for automations. It'll be like, okay, if you use Slack and Notion, here's an example automation that you could do for client onboarding. And it'll think of a bunch of automation ideas, real use cases that they can use, and it'll send to them as a document. And that gives me a good way to open the conversation with them. Be like, hey, like, I saw that this was one of the ideas. Would you want to talk about setting this up for you? Something like that. This can also, it doesn't have to be used as a lead magnet. If you're an agency, you can use it internally. Like I said, if you're a creative agency, like David has one, and you do a lot of branding work for your clients, this can speed up your service delivery by so much, depending on how much work you already do. Like if it takes you weeks to figure out the branding for a client, this can get you, 70, 80, maybe even 90% of the way there in just 5 to 10 minutes. And you just put the finishing human touch on at the end.
Can I jump in? I have spent my career fixing bad briefs, and now we're on the cusp of being able to input some information and getting a good brief spit out. So AI is not going to be able to do great creative or any of that kind of stuff, not yet, but it can spit out a brief. It can tell you the strategy. It can connect disparate things. It gives you it has a wonderful sort of executive function of like, you need to do this, then do this, then do this. These are things that you should build into your landing page, like Adam's saying, because if you come to a landing page like that, that's interactive, that's focused on your needs, that asks a couple questions and then gives you something that you can then take and is useful, that's a far better experience than anything that exists right now on landing pages. So let's talk about how it gets made.
Yeah. So We used a software called make.com. It's like Zapier, if you know what that is. And basically, once a form gets filled out that's on David's website, it triggers this webhook right here. Once that's triggered, we use Airtable as a backend database to store all of the answers. And actually, I can show you that too. So these are all of, every time a form gets submitted, these are the questions that we ask, like some basic stuff. Describe your buyer, what's their primary goal, what's their secondary goal, and the answers get stored here. And it takes those answers and puts them through a series of ChatGPT prompts. We use GPT-4, and for different headings, different stages of the hero's journey, like meeting your buyer, buyer becomes aware, overcoming inertia, meeting the guide, gaining knowledge, and then making a choice. And these all have different prompts. I can show you one of them. The first part of the prompt is giving the AI some context on what their role is and giving them the answers to whoever filled out the form. And then the second part is, based on this info, help define the first stage of the journey, meeting your hero, and then give it some formatting guidance. So introduce the buyer in the ordinary world, describe their daily life, personality, goals, and struggles, and so formatting frameworks. And then this is something we had to, figure out for our own, to use some trial and error. Don't use buzzwords or words that are unnecessarily complex, because we found that sometimes with GPT-4 it can tend to over-explain and kind of just use buzzwords for no reason. But we have that in all of our prompts, and once the prompts are generated, it gets sent back to Airtable. And once it gets sent back to Airtable, we have an automation set up in Airtable to send it off to another automation workflow to generate the actual document. And that's what this looks like. So that gets triggered here. It gets all of the outputs from Airtable, and then it uses a document template from Google Docs, and it creates a new one based on that template, pastes in the output wherever these brackets are. So, wherever you see these two squiggly brackets, that's where the outputs get pasted. And then once that's finished, it downloads it as a PDF and then emails it to the lead from David's account. And that's how that's the technical side of how this works.
It's awesome. It's awesome. So while I couldn't do this, I can appreciate the simplicity of this. Again, it's above my pay grade, but something like this, controlling your landing pages, controlling your first touch with your customers, is again a far superior experience. And I think this is a great sort of use case for creating interactive landing pages. And I know Adam's open for business, so give us a call if you need anything. But is there anything else, Adam, that we wanted to talk them through?
No, I think that's it for now. Yeah. No.
Awesome. Well, thanks everybody for listening. Appreciate it. And thank you, Adam.
Yep. No problem. Thanks for having me, David.
All right. Bye.